Hey everyone, it's been a couple of weeks since I've done anything with this Corvette. In a course of unfortunate events, I had ordered a cam from Texas Speed, a bunch of like cylinder head goodies, and click submit on my order. Went to go check in the garage one more time. I'm like, I should probably check out the motor, see if everything is still good and if it's worth putting all these parts on this thing. So what do I find when looking things over one more time? Cylinder 7 has a big crack in it, and it goes all the way through the iron casting or iron sleeve all the way to the water jacket. So all those cooling system issues I was having where the cooling system was getting pressurized was probably because of that cylinder getting blown out by cylinder pressure. So I was deciding on a couple different options. It was either finding another LS2 block. The other option was going iron block, maybe LS2, LS3. So I was going through all this stuff, doing research for like 3 days. Found that, yes, it's a little bit heavier, but iron block I think is a way to go. So I started looking into like possibly boring out a 5.3 to a 5.7, which is the same bore as LS1. So like truck motor, those are fairly common. The other kind of idea I had was finding another LS1 block, but I actually wanted to go look at 3 different ones in the area, and they all had the same exact problem as my car. Cylinder 7 is the weakest point in these motors. I tried doing some research on this. The fact that these LS6s don't have the steam ports connected to the rear cylinder heads, you could get some extra heat in those 7 and 8 piston areas. The other thing is the way the manifold's designed, your last runner is actually number 7 here. So it could have gotten too much air because all the air, would rush to the back. So a lot of things could have happened. I just didn't want to chance it. So I ended up going with iron block. So there's a couple different routes you can go with iron blocks, all out of truck motors. Like I said, you could do the 5.3, bore it out to a 5.7. And there's a 6-liter Gen 3. And that's the route that I ended up going. So there's 2 different types of 6.0 blocks. There's LQ4 and LQ9. LQ4 is a first generation of the 6.0 that has dish pistons. So I think it's like 9-to-1 compression ratio, meant for like towing with trucks and keeping things safe and cool. They ended up updating that motor midway through, I think in 2003 or 4, somewhere in the area. They call it the LQ9. Those actually have flat top pistons. So that is a 6-liter flat top, pretty much the same, characteristics as an LS2, just iron. So what I'm gonna end up doing is take my 243 cylinder heads, put it on that LQ9, and basically make a iron LS2 out of that combination. Then I can run LS2 spec cams, everything will be pretty much the same. The only downside to that is obviously iron block adds weight, so I'd be adding about 80 to 100 pounds to the front of the car. So either I'm gonna have to go with a different spring rate in the front to compensate for the extra weight. My other idea was moving the battery to the back to cancel out the extra weight in the front. So there's a little bit of stuff I could do, but the trade-off was, durability versus weight with the aluminum versus iron block. So I wanted to make sure this thing was never gonna blow up again and be super stout. Those LQ9 blocks, I've seen them handle, 1500 horsepower with boost. with the right pistons and rods. I don't think I'm gonna mess with the bottom end. I really don't want to. It had fairly low mileage, this block that we're looking at. So I'm not gonna mess with the rotating assembly and have to go to the machine shop. I'm probably just going to lightly mill these heads and clean them up, make sure they're straight because this motor overheated so many times, and then throw them on the LQ9 cam. Headers should be making some power. I'm really hoping to shoot for like the 550 horsepower range with this setup at the crank. Probably like around 500 to the wheels. So that extra going from 5.7 to 6.0 is pretty beneficial. So I'm actually going to put my LS6 manifold on it. I might be upgrading that eventually to like maybe like a cheap eBay manifold. We'll see. And then like a Nick Williams like 105 throttle body, something like that. So we'll get it in there and see how much power it makes. I would like to get a dyno tune just to see, because not many people do this combo. They're usually in trucks, obviously. So bolted to a T56 transmission and not having that torque loss from a torque converter should have some good power out of this thing. All right, here is the new engine. She is a big beast, and I don't know how I got it in the back of this 4Runner or how I'm going to get it out. This is the next challenge that I'm actually going to film the process, because it could be quite comical trying to lift this motor out of here because there's no headroom. So when you hook up the engine hoist, there's really not a lot of room to work with. So I think I'm going to get this manifold off in the truck, hook up my engine plate, my engine lift plate, take some of these accessories off and stuff, and then that way it's a little bit easier to manage and get it out of that truck. Got the manifold off, the valley cover plate, water pump, and some other accessories. I got the engine plate hooked up to this, so hopefully we can get this thing out. All right, we're out. This is a beast of an engine. There's a 6-liter tag. Whew. Yeah, this rear main seal was leaking, so I'm gonna definitely replace that. Overall, it looks pretty clean, actually. I mean, the block, you know, might be repainted at one point. You know, it looks pretty good. Not a lot of exterior rust. There is a little bit of oil in the chambers here. Not too bad, because I know these don't have a great PCB system and kind of recirculate all that stuff back into the intake. So intake is, I know, is not going to be super clean, but I think it's a pretty good starting point, honestly. The engine was not drained when I transported it. It was completely full of oil, but this gave me an opportunity to look at the magnetic drain plug, and there was a little bit of metal shavings on there. See this little black area? I don't know if you can still see on this at all, but not really a great sign. I'm gonna be taking the oil pan off anyways to take a look at the rod bearings and put everything back together, but really hope this engine is okay too. I would hate to have another bum engine. This guy told me it came out of a running truck, 2007 Silverado, so hopefully that is the case. All right, so we are on day 2 of this. Couldn't get it all done in one day. Got the engine in the garage. I'm gonna pull the cylinder heads off. I took the valve covers off and it's actually looking pretty good. There's not a lot of contaminants or metal flakes or anything, so seems pretty promising. I'm gonna get all the valve train stuff off, and then I'll pull the cylinder heads and show you guys. These 317 casting heads came in all the LQ4s and LQ9s. They're the same valve design, same flow rate as the 243 heads, but the actual combustion chamber, this area here, is a little bit bigger in these truck motors, so this actually gives it the 9-to-1 compression ratio. So these make pretty good boost heads. So if anybody needs these in the Phoenix area, hit me up. These are great to lower the compression. And actually you can get more valve lift out of these because that combustion chamber is bigger than the 243s. That's nice. We've got a whole bunch of garbage in here. What the fuck is all this? That's lovely. So, initial inspection, really not looking too bad actually. All the pistons have a nice kind of like carbon glaze on them, so it was running pretty rich, which is good. I don't see any cylinder wear yet, but I'm going to rotate the motor. And I want to get all this crap out of here too. Must have been like a pack rat or something that like somehow got into the manifold area and started putting stuff inside the motor. So looking at number 8, I don't know, it's kind of got some weird like indentation or something in the back. It's gonna be hard to see on camera, but definitely catches on your finger. Yeah, that's super strange. It's like right in this back kind of area. I hope it's fine, but cross hatching looks good and all the cylinders. I mean, looks like it got a fresh hone. The guy said it was rebuilt because one of the cylinders got hydro-locked, and I feel like it's this back one here, and they sort of honed it out and repaired it, but I don't think they honed it enough. I might have to bring this in machine shop again and get it honed, a light hone to get that out of there. I don't know what that is. But overall it looks pretty good. I think we should be okay. I'm gonna have to look at the bearings next as soon as I can get this thing on a stand. And so I think that's gonna do it for today's episode. Going to be bringing my other heads to the machine shop and possibly this block to have them look it over. Combine these two, throw a cam in it, and then hopefully get it back in the car. I may do an episode pulling this motor because I know there's not a lot of information on pulling motors in Corvettes. I know it can be kind of a pain in the ass. I think I can actually unhook the torque tube from the front and just sort of like pull the engine out. Might take off the front bumper and stuff to get the engine hoist in there, but hopefully shouldn't be too bad. And then I think you're supposed to unhook the motor mounts from the engine itself. So I think with that combination we should be good. In other news, I included some crispy B-roll in this video. I ended up getting a Sony a7 III and a gimbal, really nice gimbal. So hopefully the production value of these videos will go up substantially. Got a really nice Rode mic. I'm still on my GoPro right now, so next video I'm gonna start figuring all that out and start filming with that equipment. So stay tuned, just keeps getting better. And subscribe if you're not already, because these videos are a lot of work. Thanks.